In the forest, everything was usually in its place. The paths led where they always did. The trees stood quietly, and the animals knew what to expect. But one day, something changed. In the middle of a forest clearing, something appeared. Something no one had ever seen before, and no one knew where it came from. If you enjoy calm bedtime stories, you can subscribe to the Kids Bedtime Stories channel so you don't miss the next ones. And now, let's begin the story. The Greatest Mystery in the Forest. The morning was quiet and soft, like moss under gentle paws. Harry the Hare hopped along the path, as always quick and curious. Suddenly, he stopped so suddenly that his ears wobbled slightly. "What is that?" he whispered. In the middle of the clearing, he saw something strange. A mark, large, long, with clear lines, and it looked so unusual that even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Harry jumped. "Hey, come quickly!" he called, almost tripping over his own paws. From the bushes came Benny the Boar, walking with his usual proud step. "What happened? Did you find a carrot?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "No, something much more interesting," Harry replied, waving his paw. A moment later, Daisy the deer arrived, stepping lightly on the soft grass, and Owen the owl flew down from a tree, landing quietly on a branch. They all stood around the mark. Silence. "What is it?" Harry asked, trembling slightly with excitement. Benny frowned. It looks serious." Daisy leaned closer. "I've never seen anything like this." Owen said nothing. He only watched with his wise eyes. The wind gently moved the leaves, and the sun broke through the clouds, lighting up the mysterious mark. The mystery had just begun. "I know what it is," Benny suddenly said, tapping the ground with his hoof. Harry jumped. "Really?" "Of course. It's a footprint of a huge animal." "What kind?" Daisy asked calmly, frowning slightly. Benny hesitated for just a moment. "Very huge." Harry nodded with excitement. "Maybe it's something new, something we've never seen before." Daisy looked at the mark again. "But if it's an animal, where are the other tracks?" Silence. Benny blinked. "Maybe it jumped?" "In one jump?" Daisy asked. Harry nodded. "That would be very impressive." Daisy didn't look convinced. "Something doesn't fit." Owen tilted his head, but said nothing. "Maybe it's the beginning of something bigger," Harry added, tapping the ground with his nose. Benny smiled widely. "Yes, it must be something big." Daisy sighed softly. "Or something very simple," but no one was listening to her. "Not yet." "It's a giant," Benny announced, lifting his head as if to sound more important. A giant? Harry repeated with delight, almost bouncing. Yes, it came, stood here, and disappeared. Or maybe it came from the sky, Harry said. It fell down and left a mark. Benny stomped his hoof. Exactly! A flying giant! Daisy raised an eyebrow, looking at them with a small smile. A flying giant? Yes, they both said at once. Or maybe it's a magical creature, Harry added, his eyes shining. The kind that appears only once, and then disappears, Benny added, wagging his tail. Daisy walked slowly around the mark, stepping carefully so she wouldn't disturb it. It's very even, she said quietly. Because the giant was very precise, Benny replied. Daisy shook her head. This looks like something made. Made? Harry repeated, lifting his ears. Yes, like someone planned it. Benny snorted, slightly offended. No one plants footprints. Owen looked at him calmly. And yet, this one does not look accidental. Harry frowned. So it's not a normal track? Definitely not like the others, Daisy said, moving a little closer. Silence fell again. The wind passed through the clearing and sunlight reflected off the wet leaves. Something wasn't right, but they didn't know what yet. I've got it, Benny suddenly shouted, almost crashing through a few bushes. What do you have? Harry asked, running after him. The solution, Benny said proudly, wagging his tail. Benny rushed through the bushes and tall grass. Follow me, he called. Harry immediately ran after him, nearly tripping over a root. Daisy sighed and followed more calmly, moving with the gentle grace of a deer. Owen the Owl flew above them, watching everything from the sky. After a moment, they reached a small stream where the water softly splashed. Here, Benny said, pointing triumphantly. Where? Harry asked, frowning. Look, Benny said, pointing at a mark in the mud. It's the same, Harry said in disbelief. Daisy looked closely. Benny, she said gently. Yes, he asked, raising an eyebrow. That's your footprint. Silence. Harry looked down. Oh, it really is. Benny cleared his throat, feeling a little embarrassed. He mumbled, and it's a fresh one too, Daisy added with a small smile. Benny snorted, trying to sound serious again. That was a test. Harry nodded. A very good test. Owen blinked slowly. Let's go back to the clearing. This time, Benny walked a little more quietly, thinking about his own footprint. When they returned, the mark was still there. Quiet, still, mysterious. Benny looked at it with new determination. It must be something huge. Maybe, Harry said, wrinkling his nose. Definitely, Benny corrected him, lifting his head high. Daisy looked at them calmly. But why is there only one? Harry thought for a moment, hopping from one foot to the other. Maybe the rest are hiding. Footprints don't hide, Daisy said, shaking her head. These might, Benny replied, raising an eyebrow. Daisy shook her head again. Something doesn't fit. Everything fits, Benny insisted. Not everything, Daisy said softly, smiling. Owen kept watching from the tree. Look, Daisy added, the shape the lines how even it is. Harry frowned. That's strange. Benny sighed. Strange means interesting. Daisy smiled gently. Strange means we need to look more closely. And this time, Harry really did start looking carefully. Owen sat quietly on a branch, watching the clearing and the mysterious mark. Finally, he spoke softly, so softly that everyone had to listen carefully. What if this isn't a footprint? Silence fell instantly. Harry stopped hopping. Benny froze mid-step, and Daisy looked at Owen, waiting for more. What do you mean? Harry asked, lifting his ears. It looks like something that was simply placed there, Owen said calmly. Benny snorted. Placed? By what? A giant? No, not a giant. Owen replied, blinking slowly. Something else. Harry and Daisy moved closer. Harry touched it with his nose and felt something firm beneath it. It looks flat, Daisy said, like something stepped here. Harry nodded. Like a shoe print. Benny snorted again, but this time without confidence. A shoe? He repeated uncertainly. You mean it wasn't a giant? Daisy smiled gently. That's right. Harry jumped excitedly. That means a human left it. Benny looked at the mark, then at Harry, then at Daisy. For a moment, everything was very quiet, and the wind moved the branches as if the forest itself agreed. A human, Benny repeated, raising an eyebrow. So it wasn't a giant, or a flying creature, or something magical? No, Harry said, smiling. It was ordinary, but still a little mysterious. That's a bit disappointing, Benny muttered, looking around as if he expected more mystery to appear. Daisy smiled warmly at him. It's not disappointing. It means we learned something new. Harry hopped beside her. Yes, now we know that sometimes something that looks like a big mystery can have a very simple explanation. Owen nodded with satisfaction. And that's important, he said quietly. We have to look carefully and listen to each other. Benny sighed, but a small smile appeared on his face. All right, maybe that was a good lesson. Harry looked at the mark one more time. And now, we can go back to our normal fun." Daisy nodded. The animals walked back toward their favorite forest paths. Harry hopped happily. Benny bounced with energy. Daisy walked calmly, and Owen flew above them, watching every step. Only the mark remained in the clearing, still, quiet, and mysterious. A reminder that sometimes all it takes is one careful look to see something special in an ordinary world. When they returned to their forest friends, everyone talked about what they had discovered and how they solved the mystery together. "That was a great adventure," said Harry, hopping again. "And a bit funny too," Benny added with a wide grin. "The most important thing is that we listen to each other," said Daisy, "and solved it together." Owen looked down at the group and murmured, "Exactly." The forest became quiet again, but this time it was a warm and peaceful quiet. The sun slowly moved across the sky, and the shadows of the trees danced on the clearing. The animals knew that every mystery, even a simple one, could teach something valuable. Benny sighed once more, looking at the mark. So there was no giant after all. "No," Harry said. "A little disappointing," Benny muttered, but this time with a smile. "And a little funny," Daisy added. Harry the Hare jumped happily. "That was a wonderful adventure." Owen blinked slowly and flew to a nearby branch, enjoying the calm. The mark remained in the clearing, but now it was no longer a mystery. It was a lesson for everyone. Sometimes what seems like a big mystery turns out to be something simple, but it was still worth taking the time to discover it, because that's how we learn to look more carefully, listen to each other, and help one another solve problems. And even though the mystery was solved, a little spark of excitement stayed in the hearts of Harry, Benny, Daisy, and Owen, because every new adventure in the forest could be even more special than the last. If you enjoy calm bedtime stories, you can subscribe to the Kids Bedtime Stories channel so you don't miss the next ones. Good night.